In the fabled land of Northern California, nestled in the Valley of Sacramento, two friends begin a journey to enlighten the world about their experience living life as a Xennial. But what is a Xennial, you may ask? If you wish to know, then follow them on their adventures.
Welcome to the Xennial Chronicles. This is James.
This is Mike.
And guess what, everybody? This is actually our 2-year anniversary show. We have been doing this for 2 damn years.
That's insane.
Well, no, what's insane is we still have not done the hamburger episode. After 2 years, we have not done the fucking hamburger episode. So, no, we're not doing the hamburger episode today. Sorry. But we will do it at some point. We will have the I keep pushing the hamburger episode off because it really is important to me. It is literally my favorite food. I mean, when I started this whole crazy, diet thing that I've been, life-changing about the way that I eat, one of my biggest concerns was, how the hell am I going to eat hamburgers? Because, they're really not good for you,
right?
Typically. And I had to, do research and try to figure out how I could do it. Well, I found a way to do it. I found a way to, you can still do it if you're trying to do a life-changing diet. You can still have a hamburger every now and again, because just because you're trying to make yourself more healthy doesn't mean that you have to cut things completely out. You just have to do them in moderation.
Right.
I was just more concerned, if I have a week where I want a hamburger every single day of the week, how am I going to live through that? Because it used to be I'd just go and have a hamburger every day of the week. Probably part of the problem that got me in the situation I'm in as to why I have to work on my health. But I was able to find a way to do that, and I can have a week where I can have a week full of hamburgers and still be actually fairly healthy about it. So it's, something that is, again, a big passion to me, of big importance to me. So we will have that episode. But I was actually going over something this weekend, doing my normal Facebook checking, glance at Twitter for a second, think maybe I could post something really cool for the podcast. Nah, it's probably a stupid idea. Going back to Facebook, realizing that the few friends that I have post about as much as I do on Facebook, which is basically not at all.
Right.
And so it's the various younger family members that post all the time about asinine and stupid things. And hopefully they're listening. And I came across something that I kind of wanted to have as part of our discussion for the day. So we'll have that in a bit, but I did want to add on to last week's discussion, our Smallville discussion, which so far I haven't had anybody come after me for yet. I want to say that I'm a season further in on the Smallville thing, or season and a half now, by the time since we did last week's show.
Yeah.
And I just want to add, it's really easy apparently in that specific universe of Superman for Superman to lose his powers. Like Jor-El, who's dead and who only is supposed to exist, that Jor-El is his dad, for anybody who doesn't know. And if you don't know, I'm not sure why you're listening to us, but still, Jor-El's dead. He died on Krypton. He put part of his intelligence into the crystal that built the fortress and whatnot. But he's still dead. So his voice can do stuff in the fortress, he can, talk and whatnot. But he shouldn't be able to affect things like he does in Smallville. Apparently whenever Jor-El is mad at his son, he just nope, you don't have any more powers. That's the way I see that is basically throwing your child into the jungle, knowing that it's infested with jaguars and snakes, and tying a bunch of meat on, raw meat on him, and then saying, yeah, you got to run to the other side that's 10 miles away. Because normally Superman is basically invincible unless of course there's the green rocks. You know what I mean? Or whatever.
Show you to hit your sister,
rocks.
you little bastard.
Well, it's more like no, it's not even that much though. With Jor-El, it's you need to do this way. No, I don't want to do it this way. Well, there's punishment for it. Boom, you're powerless.
That's it. You're out in the jungle with a stake strapped to your ass. Good luck, you little shit.
Yep. Go running. And it's Like, seriously? Seriously? The level of abuse that happens in here, and every character, including Superman, who's supposed to be the Boy Scout, the all-American hero. Every single one of them is being mentally abusive to everybody else around them, lying, gaslighting. I mean, I'm watching this in our modern times with our modern understanding of relationships, and it's like the things he's doing. He's supposed to love Lana. It's supposed to be this great relationship, and like the things that he's doing to her and saying to her. He's talking about how Lex is a bad guy for the stuff. He's doing the exact same shit. Oh, it's because I'm protecting her. Yeah, that's what predators say. That's what abusers say. I'm doing this to protect them. It's like, seriously? You are not the role model that you need to be. Oh my God.
That's...
It's become so interesting trying to watch these shows through the lens of our modern understanding, the Me Too movement and all the ways that has kind of changed our viewpoint of male and female relationships. It's like you're watching this and okay, Clark Kent is a misogynistic ass, and that is not supposed to be that's not what he is supposed to be. But okay,
what is this?
He's abusive. His parents are abusive. It's like,
so is this on like HBO Max or something? Like, what's this streaming on right now? Are you seeing it streaming, or are you watching it like on DVD? It's on Hulu.
Hulu,
dude. I've got to see this. Like, that's great. Superman High School, where everyone's a dick, sounds like a series I would love to see.
It is though. He is such a Clark, the character of Clark Kent is such a stupid, whiny little bitch. Anytime anything happens to him, he's just whining and he's gonna punch it to death, basically.
Oh, that's
and it's like,
great.
Seriously, and stupid, totally stupid. Doesn't understand anything. Jumps right in the middle of shit and gets himself in trouble and gets other people in trouble. It's like you would think by the 5th season he would be careful opening a door at a Luthor Corp somewhere, because very likely, oh, look, this is this big, huge, giant safe door, right? You have freaking X-ray vision. Try to look through the door before you walk through the door. Why don't you look through the door before you walk through it? And if you can't see through it, what do you know?
There's lead in there. Right.
Okay. And if there's lead in there, that means two things possibly. Thing number one, radiation involved.
Right.
Okay, that's thing number one. Thing number two, maybe whoever built this room doesn't want you personally to see in it because they know you can't see through lead. Okay.
Right.
So that's two possibilities, right?
Right.
Let's go with the first possibility. If there's radiation involved, the first thing that you need to worry about, you are Superman, is there's lead here. There's radiation involved. Guess what gives off radiation that actually can also be harmful to humans? That green rock shit. Let me be careful opening the door. Let me have somebody else like, hey, you here, boom, I busted the lock. You open the door. I'm gonna take a step back so that I don't open the door, walk into the room, suddenly see the green glow and fall down and can't move until somebody else finds me.
Yeah, that sounds like a proper safe. Yeah, it sounds like a proper fail safe. He knows the kryptonite does that at this point, I'm assuming, right? Like he knows what's going down.
No, dude, his family has in a lead box pieces of kryptonite purposely to calm him down or to control him if he ever comes in contact with red kryptonite.
They use kryptonite like fucking Adderall? Are you fucking kidding me?
Not even joking. They have it all over the place. They have it in,
This is
it's like well,
okay, now I know where he gets now I know where he gets the abuse from. Like his parents
seriously, Clark's acting up again. Go grab the kryptonite out at the farm.
God damn him. That's nuts, dude.
Seriously, watching this, it's like how does he become the hero? Lex is the only character this is one of those moments where the villain is the only character that makes sense, because like he just hates everybody because he's tried to be nothing at the beginning. He tried to be nothing but Clark's friend. And then it's like, let's keep the secrets from him. Let's do this. Let's do that. Everybody's mad at Lex. It's like, okay, fine. You think I'm a bad guy? I guess I'll start being a fucking bad guy then.
Yeah, it sounds like he was just kind of think I am. Yeah, it sounds like he's kind of abused into the position. That's one thing, because he's just doing it for a form of self-defense at this point. But when Clark is treated like, little Jimmy doesn't want to eat dinner, go get the horse tranquilizer, that's an entirely different environment. He's the good guy?
And yeah, supposedly.
Jesus.
I'm horrible. Watching this and I'm just going, yeah, the more and more, I know I complained about it all of last podcast, or second half of last podcast, whatever, but it's just, it gets more and more convoluted as I keep going through it. And it's like,
the absurdity sounds fantastic seriously. So far, by the way. This is amazing.
And it is definitely, it's one of those things that was an attempt in the late 90s, early aughts to get a broader audience involved in what is basically a soap opera. And this is what CW kind of hung their hat on with most of their stuff, was we're going to use the tropes of soap opera, but cover them in a way that makes it appeal to a broader audience. Soap operas typically only appeal to, or were designed to appeal to a female audience. And, the which is, there's some misogyny involved in even that assumption. Right. But that was kind of the idea behind it. And they're ridiculous. Soap operas are ridiculous. People die, then come back to life. Then, this person ends up being that person's long lost twin, who their dad, though, is not who they think it is, because it's actually their dad's brother they always thought was their uncle. And it's that kind of weird, just,
to be completely honest, as you summarize it like that, which makes sense because that sounds like soap operas to me, but it also sounds like comic books and pro wrestling.
Well, yes. And here's the thing. Pro wrestling is soap opera for men.
Yes.
That's pro wrestling is soap opera for men. Comic books, in many ways, were soap opera basically for the disenfranchised for a long time. Yeah. And one of the things that they try to do in some of the comic continuity, especially when they try to get into the movies for the comic book stuff, they try to not include as much of that, try to trim some of that down and not have much of the convoluted craziness going on.
Yeah.
Some of it is still there, but they try to get rid of as much of it as they can. Mm-hmm. I mean, we'll have to see if they include all of the craziness of, say, like, Scarlet Witch's past, and for instance, some of the weird dealings that she had. They may use pieces of it.
Right.
They may use pieces of it to try to bring everything together, because there's some pieces that might work, like the for anybody that does know the House of M storyline, that actually may be the way that that they bring mutants into the MCU setup. That may be part of it. But then part of the thing that led up to the House of M was Wanda having twins. And Vision she in the comics, she's with Vision when she has the twins.
Right.
First of all, she never really took care of her kids, and they would disappear whenever she wasn't around and then reappear. Because they've treated Scarlet Witch awful in the comic books for years. But it turned out later that since Vision's a robot, Vision didn't impregnate Scarlet Witch for her to have those two kids.
I was wondering how that was going to turn out.
They're actually two pieces of a demon that Wanda stole and gestated inside of herself to create the twins. And then they have to be killed to destroy the demon. And then somebody ends up, I'm not going to say who, because it has connections actually to WandaVision, the TV show. So somebody actually blocks off all of that from Wanda's mind, that she had kids that really weren't kids because they were parts of a demon, then they got killed and destroyed. That part of her mind gets blocked off. And then the blocking off of her mind leads to the House of M storyline, where she basically just decides to change reality and make all mutants no longer mutants. And then,
and this is to majorly clarify, just to make doubly sure here, we're talking about the comic books.
Yeah, this is the comics. This is the comic stuff. This is the House of M storyline in the comics. She basically alters reality so there's no more mutants. Everybody that was a mutant is no longer a mutant. And then later they get, some of them are able to come back to being mutants, and eventually all of them back to being mutants. I'm not entirely up on the House of M storyline. It's been a long time since I did any research on it. I've never actually read the comics. I've just researched it a bit. But yeah, it's so convoluted, so messed up.
Good Lord, dude.
And I mean, so many things to give you headaches. So there's parts that they may bring in, but I'm guaranteeing you there's parts that they're going to be a little bit more careful about. Although there have been some weird things that have been brought into, like the animated X-Men TV series.
Yeah.
They make Wanda and Pietro actually the children of Eric Lencher, Magneto.
Yeah.
They do make him that in the series, and they do have the Hippo lady who is the midwife that delivers them. Yes, it is a Hippo lady that delivers them.
Whoa.
She actually has a long-running thing in the comics too. So there is levels of craziness. There's also the X-Men Extreme, or I forget exactly which storyline it is, but there's one storyline, one of the various reboots of the X-Men franchise, the X-Men setup, where Wanda and Pietro are a little more involved than just being brother and sister.
Wait, hold on.
The story, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I don't want to say more than that.
No, understood. I think that's one of those things that has been kind of banished from the continuity. I've heard of it before.
Yes, it was in a certain part of the, again, it was one of those Extreme or Ultimate X-Men or something like that, that during that run this kind of storyline prevailed, that there was a little more to them than just being twins.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was removed and not referenced again. Although apparently, funny I say it was not referenced again. The guy who played Quicksilver, Pietro, in the X-Men Age of Ultron movie, he kind of played with a little bit of that idea that he was physically a little physically more protective of his sister, because maybe.
Whoa.
So he didn't say it outright, but that he said that might have been an influence to he played with it. So yeah, I don't know. I don't see Disney completely going for that kind of thing.
I'm pretty sure they shouldn't.
Disney's done some freaky stuff, especially in some of their retcon stuff. They've done some freaky stuff, but I mean, if you think about it, you got something like I just watched it the other day with my kid, Lion King 2, Simba's Pride. The direct to VHS back in the day.
Yeah.
Direct to VHS sequel of the Lion King. Not to be confused with Lion King 1.5, which is basically something that takes place during the same time frame as Lion King, but is told from the point of view of Timon and Pumbaa.
Oh, nice.
A la Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, the play that tells it from those two.
Yeah.
That tells Hamlet from the part of those two characters in Hamlet.
Yeah.
It tells their story of it, and Hamlet just kind of touches in on it. Anyway, in Lion 2, Simba's Pride, eventually what ends up happening is Kiara, Simba and Nala's daughter, ends up meeting up with, there's like a group of outsider lions. Interestingly enough, one of the outsider lions, the only other, there's two male outsider lions, Kovu, and I can't remember the other one's name. But the other one, whose name I can't remember, is voiced by Andy Dick, of all people, voicing a lion in a Disney movie. It's like, really, Andy Dick? Okay, not the person I would expect, but it was a different time, I guess. But basically, Kiara ends up meeting and getting involved with Kovu. There's all these things with the outsider lions trying to fight the Pride Rock lions. Eventually, in the end, of course, because it's a Disney movie, everything all works out. One bad lion is killed. The rest of the outsider lions come, which is interesting. Come into the Pride Lands, become part of the Pride Lands lines, which is interesting because like there's Simba, and he's standing there with Nala, but like all the other lions are all lionesses. They're all women. And like, if you know anything about the real nature of that, basically that Simba's nailing all of them.
Yes,
but except for his daughter, because Kovu's brought in. But guess what? Kovu is Scar's son, so they're cousins. Actually, technically not even cousins. He's technically, they're cousins, but they're like removed. Technically, Simba and Kovu are cousins if you really think about it.
Wow. Yeah.
So that's like, yeah.
Well, Simba and Kovu would be, cousins. Right.
Simba and Kovu would be cousins, and so like, Kovu is hooking up with his cousin's daughter.
Weird.
Which in nature is fine, but like, and
on a legal sense,
humans
no.
do things. Unless you're in Arkansas, then it's okay. But
I knew it was going to go there. I fucking knew it was going to go there.
That's where it would go, in Arkansas or maybe Alabama. Actually, just go south of the Mason-Dixon. It'll probably be okay. But anyway, it's one of those things that if you really look at that, it's like, okay, that's not. Do we want to teach our kids that that's okay? Is that an okay thing to teach our kids? I mean, are they just going to see it as? Most of the time, I'm probably overthinking it. They're just going to see it as, oh, boy cat and girl cat, they're in love. Right. It's great. But like, even going back to Disney's first animated feature, does some prince really just ride around in the woods, see a woman in a coffin, asleep, like dead, and like, oh, I'm gonna go kiss her? I mean, really? That's Snow White I'm talking about.
Right.
It's like, really? You're just gonna go up and kiss her? All right. Yeah, I mean, but she's like dead. She's been in that coffin for like a long time. Yeah, but like, hot chick, when do you get to kiss one? She's not going to fight back. I mean, seriously. But seriously though, where's the consent in that? Is there consent? We were just having the Wonder Woman discussion, a week or two ago, 3 weeks ago, whatever, about consent. Where's the consent? Did she consent for that prince to kiss her out of nowhere? No, not at all. But he does it anyway.
Dude, I was just actually, you're reminding me of something else I saw posted like the other day, and I'm curious what your take is on this. To be real, so apparently the Muppet Show on Disney Plus actually now is started with a disclaimer about cultural insensitivity.
Okay.
And, racist tropes and stuff like that at the beginning of the show before the show was aired. They're leaving the shows intact, but they're putting like a disclaimer warning, a lot like what some Disney movies have done. And some Warner Brothers cartoons have been met with as well.
I can comment to this. We actually, another movie that one of the kids made me watch the other day was The Aristocat.
Oh yeah.
Which certain versions of the Everybody Wants to Be a Cat song have certain lyrics omitted that are sung by the Siamese cat that could be considered insensitive to I would say Chinese people specifically.
Well, not just the lyrics. I mean, the entire thing, the accent, the whole demeanor, the entire
especially especially because it's freaking Tigger that's singing
right.
It's the voice of Tigger singing it. And so it's like you hear it and it's like, why is Tigger doing like a fake Chinese accent? I mean, what the hell is going on there?
And it's bad. It's total like Mickey Rooney Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Exactly.
Bad. It's bad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's quite awful. And instead of having those lyrics removed from the film version, they have the disclaimer in front. In fact, I was watching it. I had come in to watch it in the room a little bit later, and my wife was watching it with the kid, and that scene comes on. And just so you know, this is one of those songs that's on our car playlist for when the kids are in the car, because my kids love, still to this day, they love various Disney songs. It's a fun playlist.
Oh yeah,
because like it starts with the song "Little Piece of Heaven" by Avenged Sevenfold. Nice. And then it ends with like I think it's a Sia song, Cheap Thrills. So there's a bunch of stuff. There's a Troll song there, the Justin Timberlake Can't Stop the Feeling from the Trolls movie. There's again, a couple of different Disney songs in there. It's a very eclectic playlist. But
nice.
The best part for me is, of course, that all three of my children sing along to Little Piece of Heaven. Anybody who's listening to this and doesn't know that song, go watch the music video, please, and enjoy. Enjoy. I remember watching the music video. I think I showed it to you for the first time at your place, and our buddy announcer Scott was there too. And I was like, you guys need to see this. And you watched the video. You two couldn't stop laughing the entire time.
Oh, yeah.
Not saying that it's funny unless you have our sense of humor. Then it's funny. Most people would be shocked by it. But anyway, everybody wants to be a cat. That's something that we play regularly in the car. Everybody actually has their specific singing parts. That were, it's oldest kid gets to sing at this part, then I'm supposed to sing, then this kid sings, and that kid sings, then mom sings. I mean, it's a whole thing where like everybody has their parts they're supposed to sing at different times. So we're familiar with the song, very, very familiar.
Yes.
So we're watching it, we're singing along with it, and that part comes up. Now in the recorded version we have in the car, the Siamese cat is completely cut out of that version. So you don't hear any of that.
Right, that would make sense.
So it's been years since I've actually heard the exact dialogue. And so I'm listening and I hear it and I'm like, oh, fortune cookie always wrong. Yeah, this is wrong. This is very wrong. And I look at my wife and I'm like, I'm surprised they still let it be in there because it's cut out of our music. She goes, yeah, there was a disclaimer at the beginning of it talking about it. I'm like, oh, really? So I can speak to this a bit. And I've heard this thing about the Muppet Show. I've heard this.
Oh, okay.
And I heard about it. I heard that it was being done, and Disney has done this basically on their entire platform. And what I think about this is this: they've gone to the point of, here's how do I describe this the right way? They've gotten to the point of understanding the new cultural awareness, understanding that the culture has moved forward, that things that were once considered acceptable are, and notice words I'm saying, things that were considered acceptable. Were they ever acceptable? No, they weren't ever actually acceptable. They were just considered that way because they were cultural norms. Things that were considered cultural norms at one time or another are now being addressed as not being okay, as not being appropriate behavior. And there are two ways that these things can be handled. We can handle them in a full censorship manner, which for some things that can be a necessity. Example, at least this would be in my personal opinion. You can agree with me or not, sir.
Okay.
When we're talking about things that are on a full public display, like a statue or a monument, that are in honor of somebody who did not have the appropriate ideals, the appropriate mentality. I'll go out and say it. When you have monuments and statues dedicated to people that fought on the Confederate side of the Civil War, the side that chose to secede from the United States and then attack the United States, when these monuments are up, these are in full public view. These are being forced upon people in a way that they really can't choose to avoid them, because they're right there in public. So to have them removed makes sense, because in that sense, you can't put anything on in public like that to force the people to see these things that are not appropriate and definitely no longer culturally appropriate.
Absolutely.
There was a time when they fought for that to be culturally appropriate, but it never was then, and now it's truly accepted not to be. The difference when you're dealing with media, music.
Before you move forward from that, I would like to chime in and say that I absolutely agree with everything you just said.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's one of those things
just
that
to clarify that. Absolutely. Yeah, you're right on the money.
I wouldn't want to lump you in with me unless you choose to say that. But again, when you're dealing with things like media, like music and movies, and specifically music and movies, there are things like even TV shows, any kind of media that you choose to watch. And here's where some of my key comes in. This is why with certain medias nowadays we are seeing crackdowns on some of the social media platforms when it comes to things that people say and things that people do on the social media platforms. We're seeing some more crackdown on the actual news stations. Because bear in mind, there is a news station there are a group of people that refer to it as a news station, but they have flat out said in court paperwork that they are not a news station. They are an entertainment station.
Interesting.
They are there to provide entertainment. They are not necessarily there to provide news. Yes, real factual court statements when they were sued at one point or another.
Interesting.
So, again, when you're dealing with news, this is why in news stuff, news is one of those things where, for a true news station, if they are doing something that is violating the understanding of the public consciousness at that time, what is considered socially acceptable and appropriate at that time, they're going to get censured for it. They're going to be made to stop doing it, because news is one of those things that, while you can choose to watch a different news station, news is supposed to be there to provide you with information. And while there may be some bias within the way that they provide it, there's leeway for some bias, there's still certain things that are considered culturally inappropriate that just cannot be done to be considered news.
Yeah,
because
fully
news
understood.
is considered a vital thing. Now, when it comes to entertainment, anything that has quote entertainment value, they have more leeway, because what they can then say is, you don't have to consume this entertainment. Now, what Disney is doing is they are still giving people the option to consume the entertainment. Look, you paid for the subscription to Disney Plus. Okay. So you have the opportunity, you have the option to watch any of this stuff. What we're going to do is we're going to tell you, and it's a lot of CYA as well, so that nobody can come back to them. Look at all this terrible, hurtful stuff that you have in Disney movies. Look at the depiction of Native Americans in Peter Pan. The red man. Why is the red man red?
Yeah.
Listen, they are acknowledging with this, these are stereotypical things that happened at the time. Instead of changing it, instead of removing it, instead of making it not available, they're saying, look, you can watch this for your entertainment purpose. This is meant for entertainment purpose. However, be aware that there are things in here that for the time that they were made were considered appropriate and are no longer culturally appropriate. This is them acknowledging it, and I think in a very good fashion. It's also giving parents, by starting it that way, it is giving parents the capability of either making the choice for themselves for their kids not to watch these things, or to watch them with their kids and to discuss the cultural differences and maybe make it a teaching and learning moment.
That's where I was thinking, if I may interject, that's the first thing I thought about, putting these disclaimers in front, rather than giving the opportunity for someone to watch and consume this material without the idea of cultural awareness that we have, and incorporating that into the media itself. I think if you didn't do that, it would be, especially right now, wholly irresponsible of the company to do such a thing. But at the same time, being able to consume it as entertainment for children, as it was at the time, it is exactly what you said. It is a learning opportunity to let people know, hey, there was a time when people accepted this because they weren't aware of how damaging it was. Now that we know it's wrong, but it doesn't mean that we can't use it as an opportunity to teach children what this means and how, not necessarily up to a degree, how damaging it could be. Yes. But definitely just teaching them that it exists and you need to not act like it.
I mean, seriously, it's one of those moments where you can say to the kids, so kids, you're wondering why Grandpa gets a little frustrated during the month of February with all the commercials that he sees. Here's a little movie I'd like you to see called Song of the South.
Maybe they don't have that on there, do they? They pretty much omitted that entirely.
No, that thing's completely destroyed, but I'm just using that as an example with February being Black History Month.
Understood.
Do you get the example?
I do get the example, but here's the thing:
Song of the South is the best example
I would say yes to a degree. I mean, it's way out there, but yes, it is way out there in the severe.
Yeah,
it's and I'll just say it's severely racist. It is severely culturally inappropriate, very culturally insensitive in general. Just really fucking bad. But
I think I've actually talked about this. I think I've actually talked about this on the podcast before.
Oh,
I actually saw that. I saw that in the theater.
Yes, you did. You did mention that.
Yeah, they were re-showing it in the theater
crazy.
when I was a kid.
Re-showing it. They were re-showing it. That's
in the
nuts.
mid-80s, yes.
In the mid-80s, they were re-showing that. I think I've actually... I think I remembered seeing some of it, like I'd seen the Brer Rabbit stories and stuff. And I think what they did was they turned those into cartoon shorts and they aired them on the Disney Channel at one point.
Yes,
but I remember
there was even a point.
I remember seeing some of those.
There's even a point when Song of the South actually would show on the Disney Channel occasionally.
Yeah, it was that just in itself is nuts. But
I wonder if they showed it during February.
Oh God.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Oh, you mean like at any point in February during the 80s?
Any point in any February, yeah.
Ow, God.
But anyway, but
comment.
The point being, to respond, to finish the response to your disclaimer thing with the Muppets, going back, I remember when my oldest was a year old, maybe not even a year old, just walking around maybe a year old because he was walking around on a walker still, and we had got some old Muppet Show DVDs that had each DVD had like 3 or 4 episodes of the Muppet Show on them.
Mm-hmm.
And he went nuts over watching it, but even watching it, going back and watching it and realizing that there were some of the jokes in there that got a little bit close. And this is, my oldest is 18 now. So this is 17 years ago.
Oh man.
Even then there were some of the jokes that were like, ooh, got a little cringy. Like this was considered kids programming. And that's the thing is, it's, the disclaimers are good. I think it's an appropriate way for the company to, first of all, again, cover their ass to make sure that nobody can get mad at them afterwards. Hey, we gave you a warning ahead of time. But it also gives the ability to acknowledge they are acknowledging the fact that the world was a different place and people thought differently, and that's not acceptable now anymore. And this is actually one of the things that sometimes becomes the issues with as we get older, as our parents get older, because our parents are getting into that, close to the elderly phase, the phase or are there at it, the phase where they can go to Denny's and IHOP and order from the different menu. You know what I mean?
Right.
And there's a lot of the things that they will say and they will do that are no longer culturally appropriate. That I know I found myself with a few of the older relatives of mine going, you're not supposed to say it that way anymore. You really can't say it like that. Well, why not? That's how I've always said it. People are getting too sensitive. No, people have always been that sensitive. It's just people are becoming more aware of how much it hurts other people. Now, if you want to keep saying it and hurt other people and make people think badly of you, go right ahead. But if you want people not to think you're, a racist ass, I would suggest figuring out a different way to say those things, because, that's how people are going to view you if you're constantly saying things that way.
Yeah, what was it that I saw? To the effect of what you just said. There's something I saw. Social media, memes and tweets and stuff all over the place. Somebody said something to the effect of, stop being so sensitive is essentially a gaslighting excuse for someone to continue wanting to be an asshole and abuse other people. Much more than it is that somebody is overreacting. Like there's no such thing as that, pretty much.
It's not about stop being so sensitive. It's stop calling me on my asshole behavior.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
That's what it really means.
Yeah, I want to continue to be a bitch or a complete asshole, and I don't want you to call me out on it. That's all it means. And actually, even if you want to even go a deeper level, maybe they're not trying to be an asshole, but I don't want to have to change the way I do things, so I'm not going to. And I don't want you to draw attention to it, basically. Right.
And that's one of the biggest ones I hear is, well, I've always said it that way. Well, that's great. You're still wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
You may have always said it that way, and you're wrong. And these disclaimers are Disney acknowledging that, it's been, this movie's always been this way, and it's not right. We're not going to change it because it's what it is. It's what was made at the time, so we're leaving the art as it is. But we're just letting you know, we know this ain't right.
Yeah, exactly. Please use this essentially as a opportunity to, teach your kids better, man.
Well, I mean, that part I think is I don't think Disney's necessarily trying to get that part of it. It's just my take on it personally. As a parent, I would use those moments as teaching moments. Yeah. But I think the bigger part of it is, again, just this idea of acknowledging that the way that things used to be said and the way that things used to be handled isn't the way that is. It wasn't right then. It happened because people would let it happen. It was socially acceptable. It wasn't right then. It isn't right now. It is what happened, but we know that it shouldn't be happening anymore. Yeah. And that's kind of that to me is the acknowledgement that hopefully as we grow older, hopefully we've seen enough of the change happen. I mean, honestly, I would have hoped that the boomers would have seen enough of the change happen because the civil rights movement happened during the time that they were in their teens and young adult years. But apparently that didn't, after they got to a certain point of age, it still didn't stick with them. I'm hoping that maybe our generation could be a little bit different. Yeah. That we were, the boomers' king was Elvis. Our king was Michael Jackson. Maybe that will, although Michael Jackson, not the best example.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Maybe that
we're learning a lot about our heroes. Yeah. A lot about the people that we revered for such a long time. I think that's actually one of the best things that has happened in recent years. Is not necessarily, and it's not a nobody's perfect kind of a thing, right? That's not what it is. It's about the simple fact that society in itself has evolved to the point, I would hope, to be able to look at these terrible things and realize what terrible things they are, because they used to just be swept under the rug and never talked about. They used to be ignored. They used to be inherent in the industry these people were in. That was just normal. I mean, for God's sakes, look at the fucking trauma that Corey Feldman went through. That poor bastard. I feel for that guy. And there are so many. How many of those people went through all of that? Because he's not the only one. And that's in the middle of this. You've also got the Me Too movement that was really putting a light on everything.
And the scary part is you can trace what child actors go through and all the abuses that they suffer all the way back to Judy Garland, and the fact that on the set of Wizard of Oz, they got her addicted to cigarettes, they got her addicted to uppers and downers, and they were making her work. She was making less money than the dog was doing.
Holy shit! Really? I didn't know that.
They were making her work like 80 hours a week. They were drugging her up, drugging her down, drugging her back up. And that kept going to basically her entire film career, to the point where she was just a drug addict her entire life. And they created that on that, in the making of that movie. I think they ended up doing the same thing to Mickey Rooney, because he was acting with her in a couple of movies in both their early careers. Maybe that's what made him do the character in Breakfast at Tiffany's. Maybe too many drugs already in his system. But anyway, point being, there's that massive abuse that happened. Actually, I remember, I think at the end of last podcast, I said we were going to maybe discuss a specific issue that actually has connection to this, and it involves revelations about a certain musician. We were going to talk about that today, but I found something that was a little more lighthearted and fun to talk about for our 2-year anniversary. Cool. That other topic we will address hopefully next week, because I want to do a little bit more research on it and see if any other people have some commentary about it, and then we'll have some discussion. It's actually interesting, because the thing we're going to talk about in the second half here is a music thing, and this musical artist that all these things have come to light with recently. That music artist is not on this this kind of secondary thing we're going to be doing. Oh, okay. But yeah, I mean, back to the original point of Disney doing its job, acknowledging the past, giving us the choice to continue watching, and hopefully to continue changing for the better, right?
Exactly.
Okay, we're gonna take a break now. When we come back, I don't know if you've seen this or not, but it's a list. It's a list of, you know what? I'm not going to say. I'm going to make everybody wait for it.
All right, sounds good.
We'll be back in just a minute.
All right.
Hey friends, this is Mike from the Xennial Chronicles reminding you to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Xenchron, spelled Xenchron, to keep up to date on all things TXC. And please check out our official website, theXennialChronicles.com, or if that's too much to type, Xenchron.com. Thanks again for listening, and now, back to the show.
And we are back.
All right.
So, I said that we had a musical thing that we were going to be talking about, right?
Yes.
Isn't that right? Isn't that what I said?
Yes.
But it wasn't the scandal thingies that are coming out. Oh, this is a little bit scandalous, I will admit.
Okay.
So this is a list. We're going to be talking about a list because you know me, I love lists, right?
Yes.
I'm a list type of guy.
You are a list type of guy.
Well, this is a very specific type of list.
Okay.
What this list is, because most lists aren't very specific. They're very, whatever. This though is a specific list.
Okay.
Am I saying it too much? It's like, James, please stop. Here's what this is. This is compiled as from a bunch of different lists of least favorite, hated, and disliked bands. All these newspapers, news outlets, magazines, websites, they'll make lists of, the best bands ever, the worst bands ever, all these different things, right?
Right.
Well, this one source decided to compile the list of the most hated bands of all time. Did you get a chance to see this list?
No. I did not see the most hated bands at all. No, I have not seen this list. I have a few guesses, but I mean...
Oh, I'm sure some of your guesses will be on here. There's some things that are going to be like, yep, that makes perfect sense. And some of them that you're going to go, what?
Okay, all right.
What they ended up giving is 21 of the most hated bands, or the 21 most hated bands of all time.
That's just oddly specific number to use. Why?
It isn't.
Is it for the year 2021? Is that why?
Maybe that's the purpose of it. I didn't read that far into the article. I was more interested in looking at what the bands were.
Okay.
And so I saw this last night. Our local radio stations in the Sacramento area had posted all of these on Facebook, which is where I found them.
Okay.
And so I read it aloud to the household, and there were some surprises. There were some not so much surprises.
Okay.
And there was me being able to shake my fist in triumph over certain family members.
Okay.
My wife. But this was like, you know what? I really, as I saw it, I was like, I really want to talk about this on the podcast. Mainly because we've mentioned a good 2/3 of these. So that would be 14 of them. 2/3 of these bands, I'm sure at some point or another, we have mentioned on the podcast. I know at least one of the bands on here we have talked about a lot on the podcast. Two. Hell, we actually, I think we did a podcast about we've done a podcast about 2 of the bands on here.
Okay.
So individual podcast about 2 of the bands on here. So that narrows it down a lot. Trust me, it's coming. And I thought with some of the names on here, this is something I need to go over with Mike. I hope he didn't see it because I want to have the fun of the podcast for it. So,
okay.
Are we ready to begin?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Most hated bands of all time, according to, I don't know, I'll find the source and put it in the comments or whatever. Here we go. Number 21. Linkin Park.
Really? Hated? I mean, I guess. I mean, they had like a large shift in tone, but wow, really? Linkin Park?
I think because it was when you think about when Hybrid Theory came out, it had that rap rock kind of thing going on, but they were kind of whiny in that. I mean, at the time, if you were an angsty teen or even an angsty young adult, it was like what you needed. These people feel me; they understand what it's like. It's crawling in my skin. But it was kind of angsty. It was kind of whiny with the angst.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It was kind of sounded like they were just kind of bitching and whining a little bit. I'm saying this with people so people understand. I love Hybrid Theory. It was a great album. I listen to it still to this day.
My main
I listened
album,
to it back in the day.
Yeah, my main album for them was Meteora. Meteora has always been amazing. I've loved Meteora. That was one of the few albums. It's one of the first
songs.
Oh my goodness. Faint is probably my favorite one off Meteora.
Okay.
And
I'm just trying to think of which songs are off that album.
Yeah, Faint was like the big one. Faint was my favorite. The first time I heard that one, I fucking loved them at that point. And I actually got to see that one live, where they actually brought a guy from the audience like up onto the stage to play it along with the band, and it was dope as shit. I thought that was fucking killer.
Now, do you have love for Linkin Park because you resemble the Mike that's in that band?
That's some of it. Yeah, I'll be real. That's some of it. But to be completely honest, like I have heard some of the newer material, and they definitely took a huge shift away from the whole rap rock thing that I kind of liked. There was an entire album that was just really super explorative, and if you get yourself out of the box of thinking what Linkin Park should sound like and you listen to it, it's an amazing sounding album. I can't remember the name of it, and I think it was the album before the final one they did with Chester, but yeah, that was, I remembered hearing some stuff off it, and I thought it was amazing.
So again, an interesting one on the list, but I do kind of get it because
I can understand from the debut of them, they just seem very nu metal, but not like a candy coated homogenized nu metal when they first broke, you know?
Yeah,
I can get that.
like the Avril Lavigne of nu metal.
Coming out like that, yeah.
But anyway. I'm thinking though, as I'm thinking about this list, I'm thinking that there may be some jealousy involved in the hatred of these bands, and it may also not necessarily be as much about the band as it may be about the fans. That may be a possibility too.
Oh, that can be a major factor. Fans of a band will deter me from wanting to see them, regardless of what their music sounds like.
I refuse to go to a show where Hell Yeah is playing at all, mainly because at least it used to be. I don't know if it is that way now, because, all parties are no longer alive. But it used to be that all the old Pantera fans would go and watch Hell Yeah so that they could watch the drummer. Mainly, they followed Hell Yeah for the drummer from Pantera, and
I know you've never been a fan of Pantera.
No, they suck. Worst band. One of the worst bands ever. Wow. Interestingly, I will give it away. Not on this list.
Okay.
Which made me very, very mad. I still wanted them to be on this list.
Okay, who else is there? Because we're talking about throughout the entirety of history here, right?
I don't.
Or just like most recent, like from like 1986 on or something like that.
Something like that, because this doesn't go back that far. There's some artists. There's two artists from the 60s. That's the furthest back.
Oh, okay. So it does go back to the 60s. Okay, I got to hear this list.
Yeah.
Let's keep going.
Okay. Number 20, Spin Doctors. Which is like, what did they have? 2 hits?
They did. They had 2 Princes and Little Miss Can't Be Wrong, and that's it.
So what's all the hate for?
Like, yeah, here's the thing. I think, I think people that think it's cool to hate on the Spin Doctors are doing it because they think it's cool to hate on the Spin Doctors. I've seen some, especially like some quarantine vids they've done. Holy shit, do they still sound amazing? And Spin Doctors is kind of, it's almost like a guilty pleasure of mine, because Spin Doctors, there's no reason to really hate the Spin Doctors. Personally, I don't think.
Is it just because the 2 Princes song is overdone and that's the issue?
Yeah, it's because 2 Princes was all over the fucking radio. I love that song. I think that song is sick.
So it's kind of,
they are locked too. They are tight as fuck. They're a good band. It's kind of the Hootie and the Blowfish effect then, right? Yeah, no.
You got a Hootie effect where the Hootie album, everybody had cracked rear view. It's a decent album. It's not a great album. It's a decent album. But because they were everywhere, everybody hates them. Everybody loved them. Now everybody hates them.
Right.
Okay. All right, number 19. Here's the start of the treacherous conditions here. Number 19. Oh,
here's where it gets crazy. All right.
Here's where I agree, but I think it's ranked. It's not ranked where it should be. It's too low in the ranking.
Okay.
It should be ranked closer to number 1. The number one, by the way, is number one and should be number one, but this should be top 5.
Okay. All right. So this is underranked as hated. Go.
Yes, very much. Number 19, Nirvana. We are not going to have the debate here today. But
I know a lot of people hate. I know a lot of people hate on Nirvana. I get them and I revere them as artists, but I understand where a lot of people are coming from. I think the biggest issue with Nirvana was the fact that they were so overplayed.
No, I think the biggest issue with Nirvana is the fact that we only got so much of them. They need to either prove that that you didn't get enough of a slice of the band to prove that they were the greatest alternative band ever, or they were the worst alternative band ever. They only had so many albums to work with because of Kurt dying.
Right.
We'll just say dying.
I can understand. So the hate for Nirvana stems from the love for them. That's the big difference here, is that it has to do with so many people liking them so much and how they broke so huge. And then there were like 2 albums that were major and then done.
It's like my feelings for Guns N' Roses. I can compare Guns N' Roses very similarly.
Okay.
The 3 albums that Guns N' Roses put out, because we're not even talking about the Spaghetti Incident and GNR Lies. That's kind of a pseudo live album, so no. I'm talking about the 3 studio albums that they put out. Okay. The 3 studio albums that they put out were probably some of the best studio albums ever put out. One of the best debuts, if not the best debut album ever. And
I can agree with that. That was a fucking fantastic debut.
To back it up with Use Your Illusion 1 and 2, and both of those albums just being stellar. This could have been, and possibly should have been, the greatest hard rock band of all time. And then you have a douchebag lead singer, and, might I add, a douchebag lead singer, because that's the only important thing here, totally screw the whole thing up. And you have possibly the greatest band that could have been, that was the greatest band over a 3-album stretch that could have been. Who knows what more could have come from that band? And as much as I want to love the music in those 3 albums, specifically the Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 albums, I think of those as a single album, even though they were sold separately. That is a single album to me, and amazing music on that album. I feel Sweet Child of Mine is one of the greatest rock songs ever written, for every instrument that's on it. It makes me so angry and frustrated, though, that they never could live up and never did live up to the possible potential of what those 3 albums showed. Now, again, not on the list, but that's kind of the same thing with Nirvana. Is you have this such a small catalog from Nirvana. Would they have done more, or would they have done less? And
that's the real question.
We have so much to judge them on, and that's where when people elevate them to the height that they elevate them to, I said, well, yeah, for that short period of time they were big, but what if they would have become has-beens that nobody cared about anymore? We don't know what would have happened. What if they would have kept evolving and done what Dave Grohl has done separately, which is to keep evolving the music with times, and every 3rd album is a good album, so. That's my take on Foo Fighters. Anyway.
Oh, really?
Back to the list.
Okay.
Back to the list.
Okay.
And with Foo Fighters, every 3rd album is a really good album, but the 1 and 2 in between are okay.
They've got their hits. They've got their hits, but I can understand that. I don't think everything that the Foo Fighters do, and I'll agree with you on this. I don't think everything the Foo Fighters does is absolute gold, but they knock it out of the park way more often than most bands do, especially are they 20? Aren't they qualified for Rock and Roll Hall of Fame now? Like, they've been around for a long fucking time. So, that's important to note.
And that's the thing, is that's the only thing that we have from Nirvana, left over from Nirvana, is Dave Grohl with the Foo Fighters. And they've cemented themselves as having a place in rock history and being a good band.
But on top of that, people that get nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame are most of the time far past their commercial success. There is a very select few bands that have the capability of doing that. Although, and I would assume they are not on this list. Is that correct?
There might be.
Okay. But
anyway,
let's keep going. I think we're jumping ahead too far.
We'll be getting into dangerous territory soon.
Okay. Man, this is going to get interesting.
With number 18, we're into dangerous territory.
Oh, damn. Right on in. Okay, let's go.
Oh, yeah. Mike?
Yes?
Number 18. It's those kooky Canadians.
Wait, which
Rush.
One? Oh, really?
Rush.
Hated?
Number 18 is Rush.
Fucking seriously? Who fucking hates these guys? I am surprised.
I would say anybody that has ears, but that would make you
fuck off.
Mad.
Fuck off, man. Okay, look, I understand that they are tantamount nerd rock. They totally are. Completely understandable. Not for everybody. Hated? Fuck you. Like, hell no. This is where I will vehemently disagree with this list at this point. These guys found remote generalized success and didn't even find commercial success until they were ironically loved by a fucking comedy movie. Leave them to be what it is, because then it was honestly then and only then that their fucking prowess was commercially accepted. And it started ironically, which I thought was fucking hilarious. But dude, come on. Like, there's a lot more to worry about.
Hold on, you saying Fanboys did this?
Yes.
Fanboys is what brought them more to the fore?
No, not Fanboys. I Love You Man. I Love You Man is not wholly responsible, but extremely, extremely responsible for putting Rush into a commercial spotlight. They were so obscure up to that point. They were worth the amount of recognition that they were getting, and more than that. But it wasn't until I Love You Man came out that everybody started openly embracing Rush as a big, big, big band.
Okay. And I can understand why I didn't know that reference, because I didn't watch that movie because I saw the preview and it looked stupid.
Oh man, there's a whole scene at the end of the film that's fucking hilarious. And then the thing about Rush is they leaned into that comedy, and they started doing stuff with like Trailer Park Boys and shit. And so they leaned into the parody of themselves and incorporated it into their live acts. That was one of the best shows I'd ever seen, because they took their eras and everything that was embarrassing about them, and they incorporated it into their shows and just rode with it. It was very, very creative, very well done.
And yet, number 18 on this list. Don't worry.
This is oh man, it's going to get worse, isn't it?
There's one that's going to make you. There's actually a couple that are going to make you even more mad.
Okay.
Number 17. This one irks me a little, but I understand it.
Okay.
Pearl Jam.
Okay. I mean,
I get it. Either you love Pearl Jam or you hate Pearl Jam. It's one of the two. And there are most people who will say the last decent record the Pearl Jam put out was Yield. Since then they've kind of gone and done their own thing. They have a devoted following. I can say the last Pearl Jam album that I bought was Yield, because after that their sound took a different direction that was not quite the same direction they had before. And
what was it that I used to say this very crudely, that Pearl Jam was cool until Eddie Vedder picked up a ukulele, I think was what I used to say back in the day. I
can get that.
And I was all down about Pearl Jam, anything that they were putting out, until I was just like, it was such a complete total shift. Now, as somebody who has listened to that material and who understands music the way that I do in a completely different light, I can find a total appreciation for the art. I totally can. It's good shit. I don't think any of it is particularly bad. I can see people being bored with it because of what they expect of them, or what they expected of them because of the grunge era. But look past that and just look at them as artists in general. And honestly, there's nothing that's bad about that music.
And this is the thing what we have two bands that came about in the same general area at the same time, Nirvana and Pearl Jam. We've seen what Pearl Jam has done over the years.
Yeah.
What would Nirvana have done? But anyway.
That makes me curious about the possibility, because they wouldn't have taken the swing that Foo Fighters did. Foo Fighters was entirely different.
No.
But please continue.
So, number 16, because that was number 17. Number 17 again, Pearl Jam. Okay. Now we're at number 16.
Okay.
This one can kind of make sense.
Okay.
I will admit I was a fan, as was most people in our generation.
Uh-huh.
And of course, it's one of the first songs that any college douchebag learns how to play on the guitar.
Okay.
The band of course, being Oasis.
Yep.
And I mean, how do you not hate this band with
here's
the brothers band?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think we need to say much more about that, except for the fact that, funny enough, I saw Oasis in concert. They were the opening band for another band.
Who?
Yeah, fun. We'll get to that later in the list.
Oh, because they're on the list. Okay.
They're on the list. Yes.
Oh God! Of course they're on the. I think I know who you're talking about. Of course they're on the fucking list.
All right, now we're getting back into the scary territory here.
Oh boy!
Number 15. Korn.
Oh, I can see that, dude. Anybody who hates Korn because of Fieldy's bass tone. That's the only reason they actually hate Korn. There's no, everyone I have ever heard of that has a complaint about Korn is because of Fieldy's bass tone. And to all of them right now, they can just shut the fuck up because that shit fits right in the pocket it needs to fit in. Leave that shit alone because it sounds good. There's a specific thing about the way that they sound that I absolutely love. It sounds literally nothing like any other band on the planet, and they're really fucking good at it. I will defend Korn to the end of the fucking earth.
This list is just going to keep making you angry.
I love it. Please, keep it coming.
I want to skip this one.
Uh-oh.
But I can't because I got to go in order.
Okay.
Number 14.
Okay.
Metallica.
Of course. Okay, yeah. This is
funny note. Hold on. Funny note. I saw Korn in concert too. Opening for Metallica.
Nice.
And so on the list, Korn, then Metallica. Korn opened for Metallica. And all I'm going to say, I'm going to, because we have at length talked about Metallica in various podcasts.
Of course.
All I'm going to say is this: when you are the best at what you do, everybody will hate you for it.
Yeah,
and they are the best at what they do.
Yeah, anybody who's listened to this fucking show knows where we sit. I can tell you the reasons why people hate them. They hate them for stupid fucking reasons for the most part. And then for other ones, it's just an up in the air deal. Like the first thing can think of is
Mike.
What?
There's only one reason why people hate Metallica.
Because they cut their hair?
No. Because Metallica is
because they put out a country song. Because they sued fucking Napster. That's why. There's millions of reasons. There's a lot of different reasons. And every time Metallica comes out with a new album, somebody comes up with some other fucking reason to hate them.
And yet it goes platinum immediately.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Because they're better. Anyway. We're moving on from this because we'll spend the entire time talking about this. That's why I was trying to make it quick.
Totally understood.
This one I knew we couldn't have a real discussion about.
We'd have a whole episode about this shit.
The next one, number 13. I think this falls into the same category as how I feel about Nirvana. The Doors.
I can understand why people hate the Doors.
This is another category of you have a very short period of time of music being made. You don't know what would have come more. I can see some hatred for it because everybody loves the Doors, and they get the poster and put it on the wall and like, look, I have Jim Morrison on my wall. Actually, that's Val Kilmer as Jim Morrison. You're a complete idiot,
dude,
but whatever.
That is ridiculous how much he embodied that role.
He did fantastic.
Voice,
and then his son
voice,
his son
face,
later got
everything.
to be
Well,
that like I was saying, his son later got to play Ozzy in an Ozzy video, and did fantastic. Val Kilmer's son.
Wait, which video is that?
An Ozzy video. Under the Graveyard.
No shit.
Yeah, it's Val Kilmer's son. Anyway,
I didn't know that.
Moving on. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, Val Kilmer's son got to play Ozzy. Did a great job.
Damned. Yeah, he did.
Great video.
Yeah. Okay.
All
please.
Right, next one. We're on number 12 right now. Number 12.
Yes.
Green Day.
Yeah, I can understand that. I can understand.
Yeah, I mean,
here's the thing. It's not. I personally, now I will say this. I personally enjoy Green Day, but for a period of time, I did not.
Okay, I enjoy pre American Idiot Green Day because that was actually kind of pop punk music.
Right.
But then post American Idiot, it's a whole different band. And then like currently the stuff that they've recently put out it's like full on pop. Whatever happened to being an actual instrument playing band? It's really weird.
Now, but I think that's I haven't heard
the various shifts.
Yeah, I haven't heard the new material at all, but I will say that I do like. Here's the thing. American Idiot was the polarizing point. This is where punk fans hated them, and this is where pop fans also hated them, or general rock also hated them. That's the turning point that a lot of people fucking couldn't stand. But I'll tell you what, personally, what I think, as a rock opera, the way that it is written, what it's about, its subject matter, the way that it dances between different themes, it is a fucking Broadway musical set to punk music. And I personally love the hell out of it. That is one of the albums. That is one of the very few albums that come from the emo punk era that I actually enjoyed, and I mean full fucking front to back. The Ballad of Saint Jimmy is one of the best fucking songs I've ever heard. As far as a multi-movement setup, I loved it. I fucking loved that. And there are a lot of people that would fight me on it, and I know that.
I'm sure there are.
I was going to say I'm not sure if I highly doubt if you agreed, but
I don't even know if I've heard the song. I'm reveling in something right now that I'll talk about later.
Okay,
this is making me happy, giving me shivers. Anyway,
okay.
Number 11. Again, one of those bands that I think is not. It could actually be. Well, no. When you look at the rest of the bands on here, this at number 11, I can see. I might remove one of them and move this a little lower. Number 11, Coldplay. See, you're gonna end that one, sir?
I can't. I'm not very familiar with Coldplay's material. I know that they were sued over a extremely close tie to a Joe Satriani song, but I don't think anybody really knows about that or wants to give Joe Satriani any credit towards it. But a lot of people don't really like Joe Satriani. They don't really give a shit. But that's honestly the only actual thing I know. I've never really gotten into Coldplay's material, so I don't know. I'm not familiar with them. I'm not very familiar with their material. I think they're hated awful. More than they're even given any fucking credit for.
No, their music is awful.
Okay.
Their music is fucking terrible.
So now we're hitting the top 10?
I want to stick sharp things in my ears when I hear them.
Okay.
Yes, we're at the top 10 now. Top 10. And number 10 on this, Dave Matthews Band.
I can understand that.
There's some good musicianship going on.
I was going to say, part of me enjoys,
The drummer's crazy.
Oh, the drummer's fucking insane. Actually, everybody, here's the thing about Dave Matthews Band. Dave Matthews Band is upbeat hoedown for... It's honestly upbeat hoedown for Grateful Dead heads, for Deadheads. That's what I tend to find, because they'll play 4 songs in a 2.5 hour set. And every one of those songs will be like a half hour to 45 minutes long.
Yeah, and it can be a great day until they, are in a boat in rivers in Chicago and, literally dump their shit into the river. But I think it's one of those things that oh yeah. Old MTV thing.
Okay.
I think it's one of those things. The Dave Matthews Band is one of those things that, I think is now associated with kind of the douchebag college guy back when we were younger. I think.
Like the same thing about college douchebags listening to Bob Marley too.
Well, these ones specifically, they listened to Dave Matthews Band and they were more sensitive douchebag guy, but they were still a douchebag guy. So yeah, I can get the understanding of this.
The guy who would bring the acoustic guitar and realize that he can't play Dave Matthews, so then he plays Wonderwall. Yes,
exactly. That fucker. And so I get it. Next one, number 9. This is one of those ones where we're gonna have, I think, differing opinions.
Okay.
Kiss. The band Kiss.
I completely understand why they are one of the most hated bands on the fucking planet. I respect them for being the biggest brand in rock and roll. I do. And that's what they are. They are a brand.
Oh,
they are the most
thank you for putting it that way.
Yes. They are the biggest brand in rock and roll. They know how to fucking sell themselves like mad.
But they are some of the worst fucking musicians. At least two of them are. The two long-standing members. The other ones, they kick out the good members and bring in other members. But the two long-standing members, the two founding members that are still there, are not good musicians.
I've heard some good playing from them, but the guys they bring on, like the drummer and the lead guitarist that they bring on with them, helps keep that band glued together as a band. Personal opinion here, like
because Paul Stanley doesn't really play anything that major in the guitar. They're pretty basic songs.
And a ton of covers. Like most of their material is still covers, and they've been around for 40 fucking years.
Yeah, Gene does not really do much. His bass stuff is pretty simple.
No, it's all about the stage show. Like, here's the thing about Kiss, though. Here's the thing about Kiss. You could fucking hate the living shit out of Kiss. You can absolutely hate them and hate their music, but even those people that hate the piss out of them still want to see that crazy pyro cherry picker fucking hanging on hangers type shit with stage blood and the fucking fireworks and all that. Oh, hell yeah. I don't like their material that much. Their original stuff is really lackluster, but I'll be damned if I wouldn't want to see that crazy shit on stage. I still would want to see it. Their shows are not lacking in that degree. It's worth something that large, man. I personally think so. That's where I will disagree with you, but I completely understand when it comes down to the musicianship and to the bands themselves and who runs it. It's all about business. It's not as much about the music itself. It's about the stage presence and that kind of an experience. It's not about a band in that degree anymore.
Yeah, well, I don't think it ever was.
It was about marketing. Glorious fucking marketing.
I think it was about somebody
name another band that has their own branded fucking casket. That is insane.
Yeah, I know.
I think that's cool as shit. And it's a casket that duels as it's an ice chest for booze. That's brilliant. But it sure has nothing to do with the fucking music.
Yeah, increased alcoholism all over the place with shitty music. Anyway.
Come on, like how many other bands are doing that same thing on this list? I'm sure everyone in the top 10 is doing that exact thing.
What, shitty music?
No, promoting alcoholism with shitty music.
Maybe not.
Oh, okay. Let's keep going. I love it.
I don't know that the number 8 band would necessarily be promoting alcoholism.
Oh, and Kiss was 9?
Yeah, Kiss was 9. And number 8... Radiohead.
Oh, that I get. I've never really Radiohead refuses to play the song that made them big. And then on top of that, the rest of the stuff, dude, I don't get it. I have never been able to fully understand why Radiohead is so appealing.
I haven't either. And yeah, the one song that anybody wants to hear, they refuse to play. So fuck them.
Like with Radiohead, it sounds like music for beatniks to fall asleep to. Like, that's what it sounds like to me.
I mean, there's a couple of songs off of their album OK Computer that I actually did like.
I have nothing from that album. I've tried. I don't get it.
But anyway, it is a totally different type of music, I will say that. Number 7 is a band. We're moving to number 7. It's a band that I have no concrete knowledge of. I barely have a tertiary knowledge of this band. I know it exists, but I've never heard any of their music. I couldn't tell you anything what they sound like. I'm not even sure what their fans are like, other than to think maybe that they are involved in some type of drug, but I'm not sure if that's right and what it is. The band would be the band Fish.
Oh, yeah, I'm not familiar with any of Fish's material. I know Trey Anastasio is the main dude, like the guitar player, band leader. He's the Jerry Garcia of the group. But that's literally the only thing I know about Fish. I know nothing about Fish.
Okay, so we can move on from Fish. Because, I saw that and I'm like...
They sound like a jam band without the appeal of Primus.
Okay. I know Primus, so there's that.
Yeah.
So on to number 6. This is when we get into territory that, again, and the whole thing's been this weird territory. This one I get. I'm not sure. I think you get it too, but at the same time, you're going to argue about the person's relevance. And that would be at number 6, Bob Dylan.
I can understand why he's hated. He sounds like shit.
Yes,
guy writes
awful,
incredible fucking
awful,
songs, but he sounds like shit, and he's continued to sound worse. But here's the thing. Bob Dylan fans aren't Bob Dylan fans because of his voice. They're not fans because of some of his playing. And it's especially when he was younger, it was extremely loose. But the guy knows how to fucking write. And I'll give him that credit. There's a lot of people that have covered Bob Dylan tunes that the songs are good songs when they transfer to another artist. An artist doesn't necessarily make a song in itself good. The song itself has to be good for another artist to be able to have material to work with.
And again, the ability to write the song is probably one of the biggest keys. And so, yeah, I will say Bob Dylan, great songwriter, awful performer, and I kind of understand why he's on here.
Yeah, plus I can get why there are a lot of people that don't like him.
He also gives off creepy old man vibes. So. I feel like he gave off creepy old man vibe when he was young.
Okay, so, yeah, I
he just always kind of had that creepy old man look to him. Anyway, next band. This one was a little bit surprising to me, but I'm not sure if it's because like the style of music. That's the only thing I can think of. Unless like in reality they're douchebags. I only know like 1 or 2 of their songs, and I like them to some extent. The 1 or 2 songs that I know, but. This would be number 5, Mumford & Sons.
Oh, okay, yeah, I can understand that.
Okay, why? Gosh, because like I get the idea that it's kind of a bluegrassy sound.
That's
but they're
what
an Irish band, so it's the bluegrassy sound.
Yeah, it's people that hate on Mumford & Sons don't really get Mumford & Sons at all. The thing is that the idea of Mumford & Sons is part of that. Mumford & Sons are kind of like the poster children for the alt country movement. Have you ever heard of alt country? Do you know what that is?
Yes.
Okay. These guys basically helped make that entire genre popular, and there are a lot of people that fucking hate them for it. Like, and I can understand that. Like, I'm personally not really major. Like, there's certain songs I'll listen to where I'm like, okay, yeah, but the style I feel like is very
well. I mean, do people understand the history that bluegrass music ended up coming from Irish immigrants?
I'm sure a lot of people don't understand that.
Mountains. I mean, that's the use of the fiddle and the eventual use of the banjo and all the different the different qualities of the songwriting and whatnot. Those come from traditional Irish music.
Yeah, which I find, I'm sure that there's a lot of people that don't understand that regional tie-in that listen to that and realize that Mumford & Sons are Irish, and they're like, oh, they're just a bunch of Irish dudes that are ripping off bluegrass and country music, when it's literally the other direction.
Yeah, I mean, they're playing a bluegrass style of music, but if you watch the continual growth of it, that's Irish music filtered into bluegrass music, filtered into the modern take on it. And again, I'm not a huge fan of their stuff. I've only heard a few of the songs, but I kind of, I can have some love for some really good bluegrass music, because it's, first of all, the technical aspect of that music is amazing.
Yeah,
I don't know if you've ever been experienced, if you ever experienced the fact of sitting and watching somebody actually play the banjo. Dear
fucking
God,
cool. It's fucking cool. I love that.
That's some amazing work that they're able to do. Playing a banjo is freaking hard.
Yeah,
and watching them do it successfully is just like a masterwork. Especially because it's like, even the best guitarist doing some finger picking is like, seriously, you have like an individual pick on each finger, and each finger is working in damn.
Yeah,
the things that they're doing is freaking crazy.
Yeah, it's a hell of a feat.
It does have the tie back to Irish folk music, and I am a big fan of Irish folk music. Whenever I feel of my Celtic mood coming on, give me some of my Irish folk music. It's my heritage. So but I can get that with your explanation. If they're responsible for that alt country movement, I know a couple of the bands in there that are just like really annoying to me. So I get it. If they're considered the poster child for it, then it's like everybody who hates grunge hates Nirvana. So
right. Because that's what's really funny is the idea of grunge is literally based on Nirvana. When somebody says in the style of a grunge band, or that was one of the big things in the 90s. When somebody's like grunge style, it was just impersonating Nirvana badly. Whereas every other band like Pearl Jam and Soundgarden and oh my God,
all part of that movement.
Yeah, all were part of that region. They were all that style, but it was way more open and way more vast.
Real quick, now that we're in our top 5, and since this is part of the discussion now, what would be considered the first true grunge band? Do you know?
Crazy Horse.
You think so?
Yeah, Neil Young and Crazy Horse.
Okay, then I'll rephrase my question. What would be the first big band of the Seattle grunge movement? The band that it's tied back to? Because there is a band that it's actually tied back to.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of are the Melvins from Seattle? I don't remember.
Yes, and they were around the same time, but that's not the that is considered the one to have started the grunge movement in Seattle.
I'm drawing a blank here. Who would you say would be the ones? I'm sure I know the name. I'm just
not necessarily what I would say. It's actually what has been considered by music historian experts to be the band that kind of started it. Mother Love Bone.
Oh yes, okay. Now I get it.
And
I can understand that for sure. Oh man, I'm gonna have to go catch up on some Mother Love Bone too.
And the death of lead singer Andrew Wood inspired 2 members of the band to create another band with members with other musicians in the area and a weird musician from San Diego, California. That was the band Temple of the Dog, and half of Temple of the Dog became Soundgarden. The other half of Temple of the Dog became Pearl Jam.
Oh wow!
And they were originally Stone Gossard and Jeff Ament from Pearl Jam were originally in Mother Love Bone.
I'll be damned, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so
that's cool.
Pearl Jam's kind of out of the ashes of that.
God, so now I'm going to have to go check out Mother Love Bone.
Interestingly enough, the music isn't all that great, but it is the kind of indicative early grunge sound, and it's what started that movement.
So I'm going to get that proto grunge like interest.
Well, interestingly, it's going
to fulfill something for me.
Well, it's somewhere between grunge and hair metal. Interestingly enough, it's very funny sound.
So like early Alice in Chains, kind of.
A little bit, yeah.
Oh, okay. This sounds cool. I like this idea. And I'm going to have to check them out after we're done recording.
Now we're at number 4 on the list. We've hit the top 5. Mumford & Sons was number 5. We're at the top 5 here.
Okay.
Number 4, this is the band that I saw as the headliner when I saw Oasis open. Do you remember that story? Do you know which band it is?
I think so. Yes.
This is actually the first concert I ever went to. I was 16 years old.
Yep.
And the band would be U2.
You know why? Because that fucking free totally download album that nobody wanted when they got an iPhone. That's why they're so hated.
I'm sure that's a big part of it. I think another big part of it was, I personally, from my experience, another big part of it was the album Pop or Pop Mart, whichever it was. Pop was the album. Yeah. Pop Mart was the tour. That was the tour I saw them on. The Pop album really kind of turned a lot of their old fan base against them. But yes, because
they were a punk band, weren't they?
On everybody. They were what?
They started as a punk band. Like they were big.
No.
What?
No, it was always rock. No, the pop album, if you listen to the Pop album in comparison to like Joshua Tree and Octung Baby, totally different feel, and it's basically the same kind of a shift and it happened at roughly the same time period. It was same kind of a shift that Metallica underwent when they did the Load and Reload album. It was a soft sound. U2 was a softer sound than Metallica ever was for years, because they were just your standard 80s kind of light rock band, soft rock band. And you have hits like Joshua Tree and Octung Baby. You have the Zoo TV tour and the Macfisto character that that Bono was doing at the time.
Yeah.
And then when pop came, it was just a whole left turn. And
that's when they broke big too, like mid 90s, right?
No, this was after the big, and actually they broke big in the late 80s with they had a bunch of albums break. Oh gosh, you weren't listening to U2, so you don't know like War.
No,
and
I'm not that familiar.
They were late 80s, early 90s. U2 was one of the biggest bands around, and pop was like they had a string of hit records, and pop came out, and it was just a total left turn.
Interesting.
And it was one of those things where they were dressing like the Neon Village people, I wouldn't say neon, actually. Neon's the wrong way. The nasty metallic color scheme of the late 90s that I love to this day.
Yeah.
But it was that kind of, it was the metallic colors that was in Robin's costume in Batman Forever.
Oh, good Lord.
Those metallic colors, that metallic kind of magenta-y red, the bright green, they were dressing.
So it looked like Joel Schumacher pooped on their wardrobe,
but they were also dressing like the Village People in those colors.
Oh, good God!
Yeah, it was the whole thing, and that's the tour I saw them on. By the way,
okay, yeah, I can see why people were just like, "What the fuck is this?"
They come out for their first encore, and notice I say first encore. They come out for the first encore in a gigantic rotating lemon that would move across the stage and then open up. And they'd come out of the lemon for the song "Lemon," by the way, which is appropriate.
Of course,
yes, they have a song called "Lemon." And so I was and have been a big U2 fan. Everything, but if you look at everything after the pop album, you have the Beautiful Day song that was everywhere. And
okay, again, that is the pop album.
No, that's after the pop album.
Okay.
That's like 4 years after the pop album. That was basically their comeback album from the depths of despair that the pop album was.
Okay.
And it was that was kind of a low point in their career. And then you have the album, like you said, that was forced onto everybody's iPhones. Luckily, I don't own an iPhone because screw Apple. So,
dude, people hated it so much. It wasn't that they were just like, I love the fact that it wasn't the fact that it was a free album. And Apple just like, we're just like, but it's free. Like, you don't have to pay for it. It's not a big deal. You don't have to have it. And people were like, fucking take it back. I didn't ask for this shit. Like, it pissed a lot of people off that they got a free album, which is weird. Just fucking weird to me. I know, I understand. It's just funny as hell.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was. Although what's really funny is it counted for their record sales. So they actually broke records for record sales because people were buying iPhones instead.
Prince did a trick like that.
Oh, when did he do it?
Years ago, obviously when he's still alive, but
right.
years ago he packaged an album with a ticket sale. So anybody that bought tickets for him would also buy a copy of his album. And
Ozzy did that too.
Yeah, he was able to destroy a bunch of sales numbers by doing that.
Anyway. Ozzy did that too. They actually it was a free Ozfest ticket with the purchase of the Black Rain album when it came out. Which, by the way, Black Rain's a fucking incredible album. But that's when I went to Ozfest for free. That was great. I remember that year.
So, we are now at our top three.
Okay.
Okay, because we're at our top three. You've heard all the various bands. Do you have any guesses? I'm going to give you, since there's three, I'm going to give you guesses. Can you give me three bands that you think will be on the list as the three most hated bands of all time?
Okay. I'm going to say, oh man, let me think of the other bands that I haven't heard. I've got two that I know are going to be there, and I'm not sure about the third one. I know for goddamn sure. Okay, no, I got three guesses.
Okay.
Motley Crue, Limp Bizkit, and Nickelback.
Well, sir. 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Okay, I'm pretty sure I know which two. Because one of them was kind of a throwaway. I wasn't entirely sure. And what's funny is that Guns N' Roses had already been mentioned. I'm also
Guns N' Roses not on the list. I said they weren't on the list.
Oh, that's right. They were on the list. Yeah, that's right. I would say the last if Guns N' Roses wasn't on the list, and you said there were some acts that went back towards the 60s, but individual acts are not on here, are there?
The only ones the ones I was referring to have already been mentioned.
Okay, and that was there were no individual acts though.
That was the Doors and Bob Dylan.
Oh, that's right, Bob Dylan. Well, shit. If that's it, then because the Doors were a group, Bob Dylan was one person. So if that's the case, then fucking Kid Rock should be there. But I don't know if he's there.
Are you sticking with your choices of
No, I'm gonna go with Kid Rock. I'm gonna go with Kid Rock, Limp Bizkit, and Nickelback.
Okay, so Limp Bizkit and Nickelback are the two that you didn't want to change.
Those two I'm definitely not changing. Those two are there. I can smell it from here.
You can smell it from there. All right. You're smelling the hot dog flavored water?
Yeah.
Just real quick, who would you put them at? Who would be number one? Who'd be number two?
Limp Bizkit would be 2, and Nickelback would be 1. That just feels like low-hanging fruit.
Okay. Number 3. I'm surprised you didn't even think of this band.
Really? Okay. Who is it?
And the reason I'm surprised you didn't think of this band is because of how often we have parodied this band in personal communication.
Okay.
I like to do the voice of this singer. Our announcer, Scotty, likes to do the voice of this singer. It is probably one of the most annoying bands of the 90s, period, which is why it is number 3 on this list. And it's full proof that a singer can destroy a perfect good band. Because the band ditches the singer, goes on to form a whole new band with a whole new singer, and they are freaking awesome because their new singer is an awesome singer.
Why didn't I think of that? I know exactly what you're talking about.
Number 3, Creed.
Of course.
How did you not think of Creed?
I'm sorry, man. The list got all fucked up for me. I didn't know it was going down. I'm sorry, man. If you could mention Spin Doctors and not like mention like there are so many other bands that I find that are so much worse than bands like that.
But not Creed though.
Oh no. The thing is, I am blaming this on how my brain was scrambled in the middle of all of this.
Because I mean, looking at this,
but yeah, absolutely, Creed makes sense.
If I didn't see the list in front of me, I wouldn't believe that it was possible that there were 2 bands that were hated more than Creed. But there are. And since, like I told you, 2 out of 3 ain't bad, well, Motley Crue wasn't on here. So you were right with the last 2. You were right on
2 and Nickelback's number 1.
You were right with which, I didn't say the order. You were right with which 2 bands.
Okay.
But the order is the key here.
Nickelback is 2? Fuck off.
No, Nickelback is not 2. Nickelback is the number 1 most hated band.
Oh, yeah, I was going to shit if Nickelback wasn't the most hated band.
Limp Bizkit is number 2 as the second most hated band.
Okay,
and honestly, it's one of those things that either you like them or you either you hate them or you just kind of put up with them. That's the way I see it. Even the people I'm
thinking with Limp Bizkit, it's like you hate them or you really fucking hate them.
Yeah, like, I don't believe that anybody really truly likes them. I just think that like they have their moments of weakness and adolescent fury that can only be gotten rid of by the little clown boy in the backwards red cap. And that's, although I will note,
he defined the voice of a generation, James.
No, I can't agree with that. Though. I can't agree with that. And hold on a second. I will fully admit that when certain Limp Bizkit songs come on, I will still sing along with them. I'm not changing the radio. I'm going to sing along.
Right.
The band itself, specifically, here's the thing. I don't have an issue with anybody else in the band except for the damn lead singer, who is just douchebag frat boy. You know that people have constantly punched that dude in his face because it's like his face just has a sign on it that says, you need to punch me right now. The only other modern musician that is even somewhat like it to me is the lead singer for Five Finger Death Punch. He's like Fred Durst's more angry younger brother, and both of them just look like the type that like they live in a trailer park in the bad side of town, and they steal their mom's smokes, and they get in fights over whatever.
Right.
You just walk on the same side of the street as them, and they will try to fight you, and probably lose and get their face punched in.
Right.
But they're going to try to fight you anyway. And so they're just, and I think that's the biggest part of them. But I will say this: as much as I view him as kind of a douchey guy, and as much hatred comes to Limp Bizkit, and rightfully so, you understand the hatred for it.
I do.
Wes Borland, the guitarist for Limp Bizkit, has never publicly come out and said anything overly damaging or bad about Fred Durst. And that's important to keep in mind. It's important to remember for when we have our discussion next week. Because Wes Borland has recently come out and talked about another singer who he was in a band with for a short period of time.
Oh.
And what that other singer has done.
Oh, okay.
And so Fred Durst is at least better than that guy. So there's that.
Okay, so he might be a douche, but he's not a complete piece of shit.
Yes.
Okay, understood. I think I know who you're talking about, which I don't want to give that away.
You actually almost quoted a Marvel line right there.
Oh,
from the Guardians of the Galaxy Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
Oh, I didn't know that. I've never actually seen it, even though I think I might even have a copy.
It was close paraphrase, so that's good.
Okay.
So to our number one band, had to be Nickelback. It was going to be Nickelback. If this list didn't have Nickelback as number one, I wouldn't have brought the list to be a part of the podcast because it would have been an incorrect list.
Right.
This is just the worst band ever. And you know what's funny about it? Like, they don't care. Chad Kroeger doesn't care because he's sitting on his piles of money.
He doesn't
give a
fuck,
shit.
dude. Yeah, he doesn't care.
The thing is that makes this band even worse is that they have spawned by signing by Chad Kroeger signing a bunch of other bands. They have spawned like 7 or 8 other bands that sound almost exactly like Nickelback, but sometimes worse.
That's because he writes for all of them. He writes and produces them, and they all sound like Nickelback. So now Nickelback is not one band. Nickelback is multiplying.
Yeah, you have like Theory of a Dead Man and like there's like 4 or 5 others that like I hear the song.
There's
like,
ones that have died. Some of them have died young. Like nobody hears from The Calling anymore.
Did he write their shit too?
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, dude, that guy's been everywhere. He's written stuff for his ex-wife Avril Lavigne. He wrote like horrible pop music for Avril Lavigne.
I mean,
if there's anybody who I think personally not part of the list, which by the way, if we're going to talk about most hated, why the fuck is Avril Lavigne not on this list? Let's talk about that for a minute. There are some other ones too, but think about this. Avril Lavigne has married both Chad Kroeger and Sum 41.
Yeah.
She just married the band. I mean, we all know she married the singer, but she married the band Sum 41, and she also married the band Nickelback. How bad of a life can you lead if you marry both of them?
It is Canada. What else do they have? Celine Dion.
Ryan fucking Reynolds.
Yeah, but he moved to America because he knew that Canada wasn't going to give him anything. He keeps liking to reference Canada, but you moved here, buddy. What's Canada going to give you? Some Timbits? Sorry. But anyway, sorry. God. I said that wrong. So I said that wrong. Sorry. Anyway, moving on. No, again, it makes sense with the Nickelback thing. There was even one time watching videos at home. Song comes on and starts. I'm like, oh, this is the stupid Nickelback song. No, it's not Nickelback. I said, yeah, it's a damn Nickelback song. No, it's not. Song is Porn Star Dancing, right?
Yep.
First verse happens.
Yep.
Chorus happens. And my wife's like, look, Zakk Wylde's even playing in it. So there's that, right? Zakk Wylde's cool. You like Zakk Wylde. I'm like, just wait. Second verse happens, and it's a music video too. Second verse happens, and I just point at the TV.
Yep, there he is.
And my wife,
motherfucker,
her eyes so big, and she's just like, "Okay, so you're right." I said, "It's a fucking Nickelback song because that's fucking Nickelback right there."
That's Nickelback. Okay. That's just him now. He is Nickelback because he is. Let's be real.
That's nobody who cares. It's there's I think I relayed this joke to you at one point or another. Maybe I relayed it last time. I don't know. It was a joke I heard a comedian doing, and the joke being that the best person you could possibly be in the world is Coldplay's drummer.
Okay.
And Coldplay's on this list because nobody knows who the fuck Coldplay's drummer is. Everybody hates the lead singer of Coldplay and hates all their music, but nobody knows who the drummer is. You go walk around, nobody knows who the hell he is. He's got a shit ton of money, but nobody knows this guy. So it's like anonymity, but being super freaking rich.
Yeah.
And you can get anything you want. Because like with important people, you're like, yeah, I'm Coldplay's drummer. They're like, oh, you can get into this. But like the normal people, they don't know who you are. So all the people that hate Coldplay, they don't know you to hate you.
Oh, that's great. You don't have to say who you are.
Yeah, all the people who respect Coldplay, you just drop the name and you get what you want.
Oh, that's fucking great.
Same
I gotta
shit
find out who said that.
Same shit for everybody else in Nickelback. If you're not Chad Kroeger in Nickelback, you could be every other member of Nickelback. You're rich as balls.
Right.
And nobody cares about who you are. So you don't tell anybody that you're a part of Nickelback unless you're dealing with like unless you're dealing with like soccer moms with back tattoos and shit, then you tell them that you're in Nickelback. Right. Then you're getting laid. But otherwise, you don't tell anybody that you're in Nickelback. You're just rich. And so people love you. People think you're great. That's a great person to be. Damn it, I need to be Nickelback's bassist. No, I would shoot myself.
I was going to say you'd be playing Nickelback's music all the time.
I would have to listen to it. Now, remember I said if Limp Bizkit comes on, I will actually sing along with the song?
Yeah.
If Nickelback comes on, I change the station.
Yes, same. I will say this. It's really funny, just in defense of Limp Bizkit here. You can hate, there are so many people that hate the living piss out of Limp Bizkit. They really do. But I will say, every one of you fuckers that hates Limp Bizkit still knows all of the words to Break Stuff. All of them.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, you do.
Yep.
And you know that he did it all for the Nookie.
He did.
And you also know how to be Rollin'. You know
now Rollin', I can't get behind. Rollin', I fucking hate. I can't stand that song.
Wow, even I like that one.
Yeah, I can't stand Rollin', but Nookie and Break Stuff, those are good. As a matter of fact, dude, when I was like fucking 14, Significant Other I can listen to that entire album. He's got a duet with Method Man in there, and it's fucking great. But that's where it stops for me. Like, that's the only album. Well, okay, no, I take that back. There's only one other album, Unquestionable Truth Part 1, that I actually liked, and I thought that they would be turning into a completely different direction, and then they went with Golden Cobra, and I think that one was produced by Lil Wayne, or it was on Lil Wayne's label, or something terrible, and then it was all downhill again. There's no saving them.
As to be expected from Limp Bizkit. From a band that wanted to call themselves Limp Bizkit. From a band that named an album Chocolate Starfish and the Hot Dog Flavored Water.
Yep.
I mean, guess what, people? If you don't decipher that out, I'm finally going to tell you what it means. If you've never been able to figure it out, it's about butt sex. That's what that album name is about.
The whole album's about butt sex.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
But the just name
butt
is
sex. The album.
It's literally in reference to butt sex.
Yep,
just so you know,
butt sex. The album.
And we were talking about that as teenagers. And there was a majority of our friends who had no understanding what Chocolate Starfish and the Hot Dog Flavored Water was in reference to at all.
But we knew.
Some of us were smart enough.
Yep, we knew.
But anyway, that's the list. And again, there was enough on there that I knew would drive you crazy. Metallica is always going to be on a list of hated people because haters going to.
Yeah.
But some of these make sense. Nickelback has to be number one. And I will say it's been fun to listen to you because I was just going to read off a list and go through it. But the passion that you have and the love that you have for music, you're just like, no, I am going to defend every one of these things. God damn it. Except for that one. You know what I mean? So, we get to Creed and you're like, yeah, I can't defend that crap.
Nope.
And then we get to Nickelback and you're like, yep, that's right.
Yep. Yeah. There was a point in the list where it just turned into absolute fact.
Yeah. There was some moments where it was like, really? But then, yeah, there becomes moments of, I get it. It makes sense. Let's do it.
Yep.
Anyway, I thought this would be fun. It was very fun for our 2-year anniversary episode. It's nice that we've been able to keep this going for 2 years. There's a lot of things I've never been able to keep going for 2 years. So, yay for us.
Good.
I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Hey, it's been honestly, this last couple of years has been a complete and total blast. I've had a lot of fun with it.
That doesn't mean we're stopping people. He's saying that like it's fast, but we're done. No, we're not done. We're
not done. I didn't say that. I didn't say that at all. Like, I look forward to doing this every single week. I have a lot of fun with it. So,
well, that's good because I need this for my own mental health. Because if this doesn't happen, bad things will happen.
Well, I guess we'll just keep doing it then, huh?
Yes.
Okay.
We need to save the people from the James. Anyway.
Understood.
If people are still listening to us, where, Mike, are they listening to us?
Well, you guys should be having to listen to us over on our website, thexennialchronicles.com or zencron.com if you don't want to type that much. You can also catch us at Zencron on Twitter and on Facebook. We are on all the major podcasting platforms pretty much for the most part, I think. I don't know if we're on Pandora, but I know we're on TuneIn, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple, we're on Google, we're on...
I think to get on Pandora, you have to be more special than us.
Okay, well, we're working at it. But anyways, we are also on YouTube. So make sure that if you're listening to us on YouTube, and you very well may be, if you did find us on YouTube, you probably searched for the Xennial Chronicles on YouTube search. And if you're doing that to find us, I think it'd be best if you please, first off, hit like on the video. If you liked what you're listening to, that'd be fantastic. And make sure you hit that subscribe button because we're trying to get to 100 subscribers. And we want to make sure that you know when we put out a new, video or podcast or whatever, because most of our communication is done via our YouTube channel. So please, if you are on there and you've hit the subscribe button, James, go ahead and tell them the last thing they need to do.
Smoosh to boosh?
I mean, I guess you could call it that if you want.
Smack to crack?
I mean, no, not quite. There's not one of those there.
Pick to nose?
No, not, sir.
Wait, I'm supposed to say something here. Oh, ring the bell.
Yes, make sure you ring the bell. Hit that bell icon to make sure you get notified the next time we put a video or a podcast out. That way, you can listen to us there. And also, like I said before, subscribe. We're trying to get to our first 100 subs because then that way we could get our own custom URL and you don't have to search for us in the search engine anymore.
And it's awesome having a custom URL, isn't it?
Yeah.
You would know, Mike.
You. It helps us. It helps everybody. Everybody's happier. Everybody wins.
Well, you would know how awesome it is because Mike has 2 other YouTube pages, one of which has a custom URL. That would be the Chronicles Games page.
Yes.
Where Mike badly plays video games in chronological order of the story, not in order of the way the games came out.
Yep.
Did I say that the right way?
That is
true. I
true.
don't care. I'm saying it that way anyway.
Say it.
And his other page, Ruling Note Music, that one does not. You don't have a URL for that one yet, do you?
Yes, I do.
Oh, you do for that one?
I do, and I'm actually working on I'm scripting a video as we speak. Hopefully, I should be able to get it finished up, filmed, and out by the end of the week. I want to beat the end of February because it is kind of Black History Month oriented, and I would like to get it finished and put out.
Fantastic. Well, everybody, while you're checking our stuff out, check that out. Ruling Note Music. Mike's going to be putting out a new video in honor of Black History Month, hopefully.
Yes.
It comes out even a little bit late, though it's there for that purpose. With both of those, Chronicles Games and Ruling Note Music, please subscribe, like the videos, click the bell so that you can get updates. Because guess what, people? You got to have something to look at to entertain yourself, right? There's only going to be so many more episodes of WandaVision.
Exactly.
If, of course, you're one of those people that have Disney Plus, unlike some people I know.
I'm working on it.
All right. Anyway, Thank you all for listening to us, and we will be back with a little more stuff next week.
Y'all have a good one.
Thank you for tuning in, friends. The journey continues next week.